So the Suicide Squad game is finally out, right? It was delayed, and it was delayed again, and now it's out. And while this isn't going to be a review of the game, it's going to be my first impressions. I played roughly, I want to say, about 8 hours of it today, and I got through 5 of the 7 chapters, so I'm about 80% of the way through the game. I understand the gameplay mechanics and all of that stuff. Other than the story, I pretty much have a good feel for what's there. And so I want to talk about the game because there's been so much hate for this game, and I'm just gonna be straight up. I don't know what you guys are on about. This game's not bad. Like, it's not gonna win Game of the Year. It's not an 8. I'm even struggling between a 6 and a 7 right now. It depends on where the story goes. But by no means is this game bad. It's better than Gotham Knights. It's more fun than Gotham Knights. The only complaint I have comparing this to Gotham Knights is the customization in this is a bit worse. The rate at which you get visual customization for your character and outfits is worse, and the outfits themselves are worse. But aside from that, the combat's more fun. The combat is more dynamic, I feel, between characters. It's not just button mash kind of melee spam. It is complicated and kind of difficult to pick up, but as you get into it and kind of hone your playstyle for your character, it's going to become more fun and fluid, but still, I'm not going to say difficult enough, because even on the highest difficulty, I'm not dying much, but it's more than just mindless button spam to the level of a melee game like Gotham Knights. The story isn't bad at all. Yes, like, it's not the greatest thing ever. You're not gonna cry watching this, playing through this, right? But the story isn't bad. It's somewhat interesting, right? It's not like Gotham Knights where I was just there to get the cool unlocks and the customization and the new outfits and progress through the game and finish it. This game actually does a lot right. And so let me explain to you guys what people are seeing and saying about this game and why they're coming to those conclusions the way they are. So a lot of people are playing this game early by paying $100. Absolutely not doing that. That's absurd. But we'll get into, when I make the review, we'll get into if it's worth $70. But regardless, right? People are doing is they're seeing kind of all these early test events and playing the first couple of hours of the game, those first 2 to 3 hours, and then seeing screens like this and comparing it to the Avengers game, which, yes, I did the same thing. I saw a lot of stuff that looked like this, and I was like, oh, this is the Avengers game. This is going to be terrible. But there's a lot more than this, right? Firstly, yes, there is the RPG elements of crafting your gear and speccing different mods into your gear and the elemental type damage on your gear and getting crit chances and cooldowns and all of that stuff. That's all here with skill trees with percentages left and right. That is all here again, just like Gotham Knights, just like the Avengers game. There's different rarities and all of that stuff. That is here. So if you hate that, you will hate this. But that being said, it's not as obnoxious as one Gotham Knights or even close to the Avengers game. And while I want to keep this video short and leave room for a full review video, I want to kind of dive into that a little bit. And so if you look at Gotham Knights, it very much has the problem of the Assassin's Creed Ubisoft syndrome, is what everybody calls it, right? You open your map and you're like, holy shit, what is all of this stuff on the map? And with Gotham Knights, especially because when the night is over, when you end the day and progress the story, all of that stuff is gone. You can no longer do it. And so that forces the player to be doing tons and tons of hours of side activity, and then followed by one main mission. And then tons and tons of side activity, followed by one main mission. Unless you just completely disengage from the side content entirely, right? Same thing with the Avengers game, but to a higher degree. The Avengers game is the whole story, and then it's purely repetitive side missions and dungeons and stuff over and over and over, but not in an interesting sense like the Destiny game, to where you have interesting loot and new dungeons and dynamic strikes and stuff like that keeps it fun and interesting. The Avengers game had the problem of literally having you do the same thing in the same places for an absurd amount of time. I've talked about this before, and I've talked about the Avengers game a lot, but I played as Captain America the whole way through, obviously, once you unlock him, and I didn't even come close to just finishing Captain America's progression. That's how much crap and padding there was to do. You had to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And you see this game, you see it's an open world, you see a lot of the aspects that are in those other games, and you think, ah shit, Suicide Squad is going to be just like those games. Now, I'm not saying there isn't open world, just garbage filling activities. There's Riddler trophies here that give you absolutely no reward other than codex entries, right? So there's no point in doing those. There's essentially races or time trials that give you customization, and then within the region there are, without going into spoilers, allies, we'll say, that I believe there's 5 of them. They each have 3 or 4 side missions. This is an example of one. You have a particular ally that has vehicles that need to be upgraded, and you go through doing their missions, killing enemies with the vehicles, right? You do this 3 or 4 times, it's the same thing every time, just in different locations, progressively more difficult, and that's it. There's somewhere you have to save hostages, kill enemies in certain ways, stuff like that. It's not overly obsessive though. There's the time trials, those Riddler trophies, and then like I said, these 4 or 5 allies with side missions. And that's it. Other than that, it's main mission, and it's paced well. They don't throw everything at you at once. You do a main mission, and they give you 1 time trial and a side mission. You do another mission, and they give you a side mission. You do 3 or 4 missions in a row, you might not get anything, and then you'll get 2 side missions. So it's really well paced to where you're not overwhelmed with the amount of stuff on the map, and the stuff, well, yes, it's repetitive, and it really isn't anything groundbreaking or incredibly moving. It helps you get familiar with the systems and upgrades that you're getting, while still keeping you interested in the story because they don't pull you away from it. Now, is the game absolutely perfect? No, and I'll go into that in my review, but yes, there's repetitive sections, yes, they use a skill tree that's all based on percentages and not actual new movesets, new animations to keep you interested. Yes, that's in there, but it's not in the amount that I would like to keep things dynamic and changing as you play. The way your character starts, aside from percentage numbers, is pretty much how your character is going to end, at least to the rate that I am through the game. Now, I don't want to make this a 45-minute video, but I want to touch on one final thing. The story is not that bad. I don't know what people are freaking out about. Like, yes, there's sections that are boring. There's one mission in particular, I'm not going into spoilers, that is incredibly boring. I was on my phone the whole mission, right? But there's also parts of this game, while keeping in mind it's a Suicide Squad game, and you know exactly what the plot is, and for most of us, you've seen how it ended, leaked, but it's relatively interesting. You're going through killing the Justice League. You go through, you hit a roadblock, you have to find some new way to kill one of the members, you find a new way through some ally to get something that you need to kill them, you kill them, and then you move on to the next one. It's incredibly complicated, but the story is the main focus here. There's a lot of games where the open world and the exploration and all of that is your main focus, and the story kind of just drives you through it. And again, while that's here, the story is the main focus, and that's what most people are going to be playing this for. Now, a couple final things to talk about before I end this video. I did have a couple of bugs so far in my first day of playing. Frame rate drops, the game freezing, lip syncing being off, cutscenes freezing, stuff like that. No hard crashes, but nothing that completing the cutscene or going to the pause menu or interacting with somebody didn't just immediately fix and was absolutely game breaking, right? For something like Cyberpunk, these are all minor launch bugs that'll be fixed within a week, I'm sure. So, I don't think the game is that bad. I actually think it's pretty decent, but that's just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments below, and we'll make a full review once I finish this game, and I'll see you guys on the next one.